Merry me, everyone. Today I'm going to be doing a video on being an empath and what that can mean for you, being one, and what you need to do to protect yourself. Because being an empath sometimes can be incredibly draining. It can be overwhelming. It can be a difficult thing to deal with if you don't know how to protect yourself. But let me just start off by saying, don't mind, as I move the whole table, don't mind my appearance. It is extremely muggy where I am from today, and the temperature is not too hot. It's probably like 85, but it's extremely muggy. So my hair is just kind of doing its own thing, and when you have like so much hair, like it doesn't look like a lot, but it certainly feels it can be too much. So I have my notes because, as you all know, I get sidetracked. So let me start off by saying that there are many different kinds of empaths. Each one touches on a different aspect of the ability and what we can tune into and what we can feel or sense or anything like that. Some of us experience all of the different kinds of empathic qualities. Some will, like when you listen, you may say, oh, well, I connect to that. That's me. Oh, but that one's not me, but that one is me. You may find that you connect to all of them except for one. Like it explains you. You may find that you are all of them. You may find that you are only one. So, I mean, you can be any or all of these different types of empaths. So basically what an empath is, excuse me, is someone who can tune into another person or another animal. Excuse me. I like inhaled my spit right before I started this video. So if you can tune into another human or a plant or a tree or the earth, universe, animal, whatever, you can tune into another being, another creature, another life, and you can absorb and feel what they are feeling and sense what they are sensing. And I know that the term associated with being an empath is both a blessing and a curse. I can understand why people say that. Me being an empath, I know how overwhelming it can be. I know how demanding of my energy it can be. I know how draining it is to talk to another individual. But you have to learn how to protect yourself. And that's what I'm going to go through in this video. I'm going to go through the different kinds of empaths that there are and how to recognize sorry, excuse me. How to recognize an imbalance, how to clear these imbalances if you have them, and then how to protect yourself. So let's start with a claircognizant empath. And this is usually when one, excuse me, this is what happens. I swear, it's like I'm fine all day, and then right before I go do a video, my body says, oh, here, I'm going to help you inhale a gallon of spit so you're coughing the entire time that you are doing this video. So, alright, so claircognizant empath. This is usually when one just knows something isn't right, or when something needs to be done, or they make really good lie detectors because they can usually sense when somebody's up to no good, or if they're being honest, or if they're being truthful. So here are some tips and some qualities of a claircognizant empath. You have an unquiet mind. You have an unquiet mind, and you spend your time thinking a lot and writing a lot. Many authors and songwriters are claircognizant empaths. The second quality is you have lots of sudden ideas that you can't wait to share, often keeping you up at night. I experience this sometimes. I have a very close friend of mine who experiences this, and we've had conversations over how much sleep we actually lose. It's like we'll be fine, and then the second we lay down, we can't quiet our mind, and all of a sudden our best yes, our best ideas come to us when we're trying to sleep. And so then all of a sudden you have to get out of bed, you have to write them down, you have to, and it's like it's a cycle. It's a vicious cycle. So, tip 3. You are an interrupter. This is never done intentionally. It's like something, it enters your mind and you have to say it. You have to say it right now. It's always, you're always apologetic for it. It's not, you just can't help it. The 4th one is you really enjoy the logical things and figuring things out left brain style, which is the logical side of the brain, which is the analytical side. So you would enjoy trying to figure things out like that. The 5th one is you receive answers to things sometimes hours or even days after you ponder it in your mind. And while it may take some time, you do get answers. The 6th one is you know when someone is genuine and trustworthy, often with no explanation how you know. And the same goes for when you know someone shouldn't be trusted. You know this without explanation. I have the hair. Living with cats. It'll be fun, they said. They don't tell you is how much cat hair you actually eat per year. So, so you know whether someone can be trusted or whether not trustworthy. And you have no explanation on how you know this, you just know. So the 8th one is you are the answers person, which means that everybody goes to you. People often go to you for help because they know that you can help them figure out what the issue is and how to sort everything out for them. Just can't clear my throat. And the last one is you prefer learning through books. Some people are a physical learner. Some people would rather see someone do it. They would rather watch someone physically do it. Other people are book learners. They really enjoy diving into a book. Excuse me. They really enjoy diving into a book and learning that way, and really just encompassing every word and like absorbing every word in that book and learning that way through that book. I don't have every one of those qualities, but I do have a few of them that I especially connect to. And the book learning is definitely one of them. I mean, I have right there, it's like a whole shelf that goes all the way down, and it's all books. And they're all, they're not like regular reads like I have in my bookcase on the opposite side of the room. But these are all books that you learn from. And I've gone through every single one of them, cover to cover. And I love to learn through books. So, actually to the point where I'm actually writing, I'm actually writing a book. And it's going to take me some time because I want to be as thorough as possible. So I figured this is the best time to say, but I'm writing a kind of like a how-to book, but not, I don't want to use those words because there really is no how-to in Wicca and witchcraft. But I just know for myself, learning and trying to find my way for years was incredibly hard. And God, it's like this cough just won't. I still have like a gallon of saliva in my lungs. So, all right, anyway, this is why I have papers, because forget it, I'll get sidetracked all day. So I actually started writing a book because I found for myself, wow, that's so shiny. Isn't that awful? That's so shiny. Can you even see anything with the glare? It might look like a bald head. Jesus. Okay, anyway. In order to like learn everything that there is to learn, and you never really learn everything, but you need to read this book, and then you have, one person's view on that, and then you have to read another book, and then you see another person's view on that. A lot of these books are based on fact and opinion. And I think that when you write a book, especially on something like a subject like spirituality or religion, or when you're practicing a craft, especially one that can alter a reality for someone, you need to be especially careful in doing so. And I have read some books that were careless, to say the very least. And I think that, I have a lot to offer where I've been studying for so long, and I've read just about every single book I think that there is. And somebody keeps messaging me, but I don't know. Okay, so anyway, see this one. I've got completely. We're doing something on an empath, and I'm talking about a book. So let me just drop it right there. I'll be writing a book, so it's going to take some time, but it will be out. The next one is emotionally receptive empath. This one is a huge one for me. I touch on this completely. I think a lot of empaths do. A lot of empaths are the emotionally receptive empath. You feel everything, sometimes to an extreme, and you are less apt to intellectualize feelings, which means that you don't protect yourself or block these feelings that are coming in that don't belong to you. So this is huge for me. Barriers. I had to learn how to protect myself, because being an emotionally receptive empath, you really are like a sponge, and you just absorb other people's emotions and to the extreme. And then you start to feel what they're feeling, and you're thinking that something's wrong with you, because you are not allowing yourself to process and saying, well, these feelings don't belong to me, they belong to Joe Schmo, because I talked to him earlier today and he was going through some stuff, and now I'm tired and I'm kind of feeling how he was feeling. So that's, what the emotionally receptive empath is. You really absorb those emotions. All right. Physically receptive empath. Physically receptive is when you are receptive to other people's illnesses and bodily pains. This often manifests itself in your own body and can be especially useful skill in healing, because you think about it. Excuse me, I'm so sorry, this is awful. This can be an especially useful tool in healing, because now when you go to heal someone, you are feeling what they're feeling. So it's not like, when, if you go to the doctor, right, and you say, oh, I've been having these headaches for so long, it could be many different things, right? It could be, like, is it your actual head that's hurting? Is it your brain? Is it your sinuses? Is it your eyes? When you feel someone else's pain and it's manifesting in your own body, you can feel it exactly where it's bothering them. Do they have back pain? When somebody has back pain, say, oh, my back hurts. What they don't tell you, though, is that, are they feeling it up in their shoulders? Are they feeling it in the center of their spine? Are they feeling it down, in the lumbar section? So, when you can feel their pain, you can feel where it is, and you can help them. Next is fauna empath. And a fauna empath is one that is going to be drawn to animals. They can often feel the emotions of said animal, and it does make it much easier to interact with these animals. I'm drawn to animals, but I wish I could communicate with them. That'd be amazing. My life would be complete, I think, if I could communicate with animals. But I cannot. And I can't feel their emotions per se. I can feel bad for them if something bad happens. Obviously my heart breaks for them if something bad happens, or When they're happy, I'm happy, and when they're having fun, I find it hilarious because they're goofy. But as far as like tapping into their emotions, I'm not sure. So that's the fauna. This is where you are connected to animals. Next we have flora, the flora empath. And this is the type of empath that can communicate with plants, and you're able to receive physical and emotional signals from the plants. Which plants are not just like, leafy. These are flowers, these are trees, these are bushes, things like that. A geomantic empath is someone who is tapped into the energy of the earth. They have the ability of predicting earth shifts and natural disasters. So when something is off and there's about to be a change in the earth, or let's say an earthquake or a hurricane or something is going to happen, these people will feel off and they're going to sense that something is going to happen. A psychometric empath this is where it manifests itself as the ability to receive information, energy, or impressions from physical objects such as photos, clothing, jewelry, utensils, anything that is a physical object. A medium empath is where you can see the past, present, and the future events of a person by tuning into the spirit energy surrounding that person. So I've always said that I wish that I was a medium. As I've gotten older and as I've become more effective at creating a solid boundary and respecting those boundaries myself, I've become a little more sensitive. I am not a medium. I am in no way claiming that I am one, but I am definitely more aware. I'm more aware of things that cannot be seen and tapping into that world a little bit. So, I've always said that I wanted to be one, but sometimes I don't know if we are fully prepared to be in this realm and that one and tapping into those energies, especially as, an emotionally receptive. I think that might be super overwhelming. But protection, that's the key. Next one is precognitive empath. And this is where you can feel the occurrence of an event or a situation before it actually happens. This is usually manifested in dreams or as physical or emotional sensations. For instance, you may feel dread or anxiety or excitement for no reason at all, and you can't place that feeling or where it's coming from. So that's precognitive. Next we have the telepathic empath, and that's the ability to accurately read a person's expressed thoughts is the main defining feature of the telepathic empath. So you are able to essentially kind of like tap into that person's mind and know what they're thinking without them actually even having to say it. So those are the different kinds of empaths. I'm trying to make this video kind of short because I know not everybody has like an hour or even longer because I ramble, but these are signs of an imbalanced or sick empath. Reading these, I think, will touch base for a lot of people because they might feel these things and not know why. So the first sign is physical pain, stomach issues, headaches, if you overeat or undereat. These are huge warning signs that you should not ignore. Sign 2, the second sign, is feeling spaced out, confused, or even disconnected, sometimes for days or even weeks, sometimes even longer. I think sometimes we get this feeling and we're not sure why we feel so disconnected from even ourselves, or we're kind of like lost in space, So that's a sign of having an imbalance. The third one is wild mood swings after being in contact or being around a toxic person. It's like you can't balance yourself out after you've been around this person, and you just find yourself kind of like all over the place, and you tend to be a little touchy and a little irritable, and you kind of just everywhere. The fourth one is feeling like you're swirling around and around with nowhere to call home, which is like an ungrounded feeling. And the mind can go to very dark places if you allow it. If you can't bring yourself back, that can be a very dangerous situation. Um, so that's the fourth one. The fifth one is preferring solitude to an extreme. I think it's good to be by ourselves sometimes. Not sometimes. It's definitely good to be able to have some solitude and to be alone with our thoughts and be able to process, our time on our own time and just have some peace. However, with that being said, wanting to always be alone and to avoid people and places, that's an extreme. So that's a sign of an imbalance or just being a sick empath. And the last one is feeling alone even if you're in a crowded place or feeling invisible to others. This one definitely hit home for me because before, I even have moments now, but before, this would be my biggest thing. Number 5 and number 6 were really huge for me because I enjoy my solitude. I enjoy being alone. When you want to be alone all the time and there is no contact, you don't even want to talk to the people who live in the home with you. That's a problem, and it becomes your defense mechanism where you don't want to talk to people. You don't, because you can connect the two together. Like every time I talk to someone, I feel like shit. So, you'd rather just be alone and not have to deal with it at all. And feeling it when you're alone, even when you're with people, that's a sign of an imbalance. So these are ways to rebalance yourself. 1, stay creative, whatever that means for you, because not everybody draws and not everybody paints and not everybody can sing and not everybody dances, but we all have that one thing, that creative spark in us that we enjoy doing. So stay creative. Stay doing those things. Number 2, learn to guard your own energy. This is very important. So important. You can do this by, meditating, breathing techniques, learning, and this last one is huge, learning which energy and which emotions and what feelings are yours. This is huge because when you are an empath, you tend to absorb other people's energies, and then you don't know what belongs to you and what you have absorbed that doesn't belong to you. And whatever doesn't belong to you, you need to get rid of. You need to let it go. It's not yours. You need to release it. Number 3. This is also very important. At least to me, I think this is really important for a lot of people. As an empath, I can tell you how hard it is to say no. It is so hard to say no. And you have to learn how to do it. You have to be okay with saying no. You have to be okay with, maybe disappointing someone else if that means that it's going to be something that you cannot do or don't want to do. Use your voice. Do not be afraid to voice what you want, what you need, and if you don't want to do something, do not do it. And protect yourself. Stand up for yourself. If somebody is really bringing you down, you don't have to fight, don't stoop, but, definitely protect yourself and stand up for yourself. Absolutely. Number 4, get outside. This could be in the form of a nature walk. This could be, a hike, admiring nature, laying in the sun or even laying in the moon, absorbing the moonlight. Putting your bare feet on the ground is a great grounding technique. I think that we all lose some connection to the earth when we're always outside wearing sneakers and shoes, and you can even go to the beach and put your feet in the sand and just, but for me personally, I much prefer putting my bare feet on on the ground near a tree, and really just feeling the life of that tree, and with my bare feet, and really having that connection between the earth and my own body. So, but everybody has their own preference. Some people prefer the ocean and they prefer the sand, and so if that would be a better connection for you, then that's the route that you would want to go. Number 5, use water. Water is a huge emotional cleanser, and it's also an energy cleanser. Like, it removes energy as well. Swimming in the ocean, drinking lots of water, taking a shower, or even a detoxifying bath are great ways to achieve this. Number 6, keep your chakras open. If you're not familiar with chakras, we have centers all through our body. They run down our body from the very top right to the bottom, not to the feet. They come out of our loin area. And there's different chakras, and they all have their own movement, and there's colors associated with each chakra, which I'm not going to get into in this video because it will take forever. So, but they each have their own movement pattern, and they each move at different paces and things like that. And when you have a blockage in your chakras, it can really disrupt the energy in your body. So you want to keep your chakras open. And you can do this by speaking up for yourself, taking time for yourself, and staying balanced with yoga, prayer, and or meditation. The 7th one is using stones and crystals for grounding and protection. You may not find, that you are knowledgeable with stones and crystals, and that's okay. You may not want to use them, and that's okay. Me personally, I love my stones and crystals. Absolutely love them. And for me, smoky quartz, labradorite, black tourmaline, these are great for grounding and protection. So always make sure that you cleanse and charge your crystals first before using it for grounding and protection. Also, cleansing, if you need to make sure that your stones are are not going to dissolve in water before you cleanse them. I like to use sage smoke. Some people enjoy water, some people enjoy the earth method. It all depends on what your preference is, but make sure that your stones aren't soft, because they have a scale of softness, and the softer they are, the more likely they are to dissolve in water. So just keep that in mind. Number 8, avoid negativity and stress when possible, especially when it comes to people. It's kind of hard to avoid stress when you have children and, you're married and, you have bills and a job and things like that. So, you have your everyday stress, which is manageable, but then you have those people, whether it be, friends even. Unfortunately, some people can really, they know how to get to you, and it kind of sucks. But you have to avoid certain situations, avoid certain people, and try to process the stress as best as you can. And sometimes you need to cut people off if they become a problem, and you can sit there and remain friends with someone because you are afraid of hurting their feelings, or you can protect yourself. And you can either, you cannot delay the inevitable. They're eventually going to want to hang out with you. And if this is something that you don't really plan on doing ever again, then you need to really consider just cutting ties, because it's not fair to them either. Just like it's not fair to you. You don't want to string them along. Number 9, limit the time that you use on televisions and electronics and even watching the news and places that drain your energy. Keep emotional and energy vampires away. So let me break this down a little bit. As far as like electronics, When you're an empath, the they can give off these, like, I'm trying to describe, like, okay, when people go, like, they do ghost hunting, and they have an EMF detector, which is electromagnetic field. They TVs and lights and electronics, they can give off an EMF field. They can create one. And I was told one time that when you're in a room and you have a TV here and you have, you know, a radio there and you have this over here, it can actually can create like this triangle or this space where this field is created, and it can affect you. It can affect you in a negative way. So you really want to, number one, plan your room accordingly so you're not surrounded by electronics, especially if you have a really small room. I mean, and you're an empath, it can really, really affect you, even to the point of like hallucinating and things like that. So you just want to keep that in mind. But watching the news as an empath, I don't watch the news. I try not to watch the news anymore. It's so hard for me to, and I like the news only because I really enjoy the weather. I want to see what, even though I use the internet mostly now to check the weather, but before, I would watch the news and just wait for the weather. And it is so draining to see all these, they don't really, I mean, they have a good story, like, you know, every once in a while, and this kid was raising money for this, and that's fantastic. Like, I love the good stories, but when you watch the news, it's a majority bad news stories, and, you know, they're letting the public know what's going on. That can be very draining for an empath, and it can be very overwhelming. So just limit your time. You know, if you really, really enjoy watching the news because you want to stay current on what's going on, then, you know, they have news on. If you watch it in the morning, watch it only in the morning. Don't catch the 5 o'clock news when you come home. You know, and that's the same goes for the internet as well. Facebook I use for my business because I'm an artist. I use it for my business. I use it to keep in touch with friends. I also use it for a group that I have on Facebook. And Facebook is one of those things that you have people who, and I don't know how to word this without sounding like, you know, I mean no disrespect, or I'm not trying to offend anyone, but you have people who are just always negative, and seeing that every single day, it can become almost too much. You know, I actually took a break from Facebook like a few weeks ago, and I was off of Facebook, I think, for 2 weeks, and it was so nice. I need Facebook though, because I have a business and I need to make money, so I use that, and I really do enjoy seeing what's going on with my friends and things like that. So, but that's that. The second part of that was keep energy vampires away. You need to recognize who they are. You need to recognize what an energy vampire is. You need to recognize that you are friends with one. Sometimes even your own family is an energy vampire. So, with that being said, you need to recognize who they are. If protecting yourself is not enough, you may need to cut ties. And with family, that can be a little tricky. However, we cannot live life every day, day in, day out, constantly sick, constantly drained, constantly suffering from these physical manifestations from being an empath. That's just crazy to have to deal with all these negative manifestations in our life because of how we feel and how we absorb these things. So if protecting yourself isn't working, then it may be time to just distance yourself completely. Number 10, learn grounding, centering, and shielding skills. This is very important. You have to know how to protect yourself. You have to learn how to ground yourself, how to center yourself, and how to shield yourself from someone else's energy. I will be doing a follow-up video probably in a couple of days. Hopefully when I haven't inhaled a gallon of spit and I'm coughing throughout the whole video, but we'll see, because my body likes to keep it fun and interesting. So so I will be teaching ways you can ground and center and shield yourself. Number 11, speak to your spirit guides, gods and goddesses, your God, whatever your religion is. If you're not religious and you consider yourself more spiritual, then tap into whatever that is, and speak to them and get to know them and create a relationship. I think that's really, really important, to have a connection on a higher level than yourself. Number 12, look for one positive thing every single day. I cannot stress this enough. Excuse me. As I let me clear my throat. Let's not sing that song. So, look for one positive thing every day. This is so important. This does not mean that you have to ignore the negative things that are happening in your day. This does not mean that you have to pretend to be positive when you're not. Absolutely not. I just had a conversation with one of my really good friends yesterday, because she feels like people don't want to talk to her or don't want to interact with her when she's not being completely 100% positive. And I think that is completely unfair for other people to expect another person to be positive all the time. It's excuse me, it's unreasonable, because we are human and we experience, that's what makes us human, is the variety of emotions. I mean, if we were happy all the time, we would be severely imbalanced as humans, as living creatures. We would be severely imbalanced. And the only way to be positive is to acknowledge the negative feelings when they do come. When you are experiencing negativity or negative feelings, and when you're experiencing anger, whether it be anger, jealousy, sadness, any of those feelings, you need to accept that you are feeling them. You need to feel them in order to be able to let it go and release it. So even when you're having a really shitty day and it seems like the day from hell, since you woke up until the time you went to bed, it's just a horrible day. We all have days like that. You need to look for that one positive day. That one positive day. That one positive thing every day. And even if your day is not horrible, but you're just really super tired and you don't want to go to work today, you don't want to do like the mom thing, you kind of just want to take a nap but you can't, things like that. Even when you're just having a really bad, even when you're having a fantastic day, even when you're having a fantastic day and you're like, oh, today couldn't get any better, live in that moment just for a moment. Seriously, say, you know what, today was really great. I got to do this, this, and that, and I got to experience this, and it's been a really good day. So whether the day is good or bad, remember to find one or more positive things. And the last part is how to protect yourself. I say the best for last because I want this to stay in your mind more so than the types of empaths. Number 1, recognize that you are actually an empath. I think, I know it sounds silly to even have to say that, but it's not silly, because there are some people out there that don't know what's wrong with them and why they're feeling the way that they're feeling, and it's because they are an empath and they don't know it. So recognize the fact that you are indeed an empath. All right, number 2, turning negative feelings into positive ones. Again, this does not mean that you have to be positive all the time. It just means that you cannot live in that state of mind. You need to process it and let it go. And a good way to do that is to, number 1, acknowledge that you are having a bad day or having a bad feeling or have some anxiety, have some anger, having some issue, whatever it may be. Acknowledge that, process it, and then turn it into a positive. There is nothing wrong with reprogramming your mind to think on a more positive level. Number one, when you live in negative moments all the time, you're going to manifest physical illness and physical manifestations from the negativity. So just keep that in mind. Number three, dropping the energy vampires like a rock. Do not feel bad about it. Do not hesitate to do it. Life is short. If you got somebody who is constantly draining your energy and you come to the realization that this person is an energy vampire and they are draining you, cut off, gone. You need to just walk straight out of their life. Don't look back. It is a must. It is a must. I can't even begin to explain to you. You come across people and you might even like them. You might even like them, but if their energy affects you in a way that you want to sleep and you find yourself avoiding them, it might be time to walk away. Number four, raising your consciousness. You can simply do this just by meditation. And you don't have to meditate for an hour. You know, I know that some people have a hard time meditating because, trying to, quiet their mind. That can be really, really hard. But raising your consciousness can be done with meditate for 15 minutes a day. Meditate for 5 minutes, even. Just getting to that point where you can, tap into that. And the last one is speak the truth. This is so important because I think a lot of us try to hide behind this facade that we are all these amazing people, and we're people. We have bad qualities too. Even when, you would give the shirt off your back, just because you have bad qualities doesn't make you a bad person. But not only that, but you need to speak the truth and be honest with yourself. I think so many times we find that we are trying to convince ourselves of something, even though we know deep down inside it's not the case. So be honest with yourself. Speak the truth to yourself before you speak the truth to anyone else. So, and that is my video on empaths and how to recognize the different types of empaths and how to recognize imbalances and how to correct those imbalances and how to protect yourself. So I hope this video was useful. Thank you for dealing with my inhaling my saliva and coughing all video and my crazy hair and just, it's always a good time here with me because it's never a dull moment. So, all right, I'll see you guys soon with another video. Bye.